So one of the best tools I've used in business is creating SMART goals. And not even just in business, but in life in general. SMART goals are really cool because they help you see the big picture of what you're aiming for, track the progress, and have the focus to achieve it. So, SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. And I've actually heard that the A and the R could stand for attainable and relatable, but I always go for achievable and relevant. So first up, we've got specific. And the key here is to be clear. So you're setting a goal and say you want to lose like 20 pounds this year. Well, don't just be vague and say you want to lose 20 pounds. Really break it down. For instance, you could say, I want to lose 20 pounds in the next 3 months. And the way I'm going to accomplish this is by counting my calories and having a great gym routine. I'm going to meal prep to make sure I get the proper calorie count. And I'm going to make sure that I have a list of exercises that I'm performing every single week. The more specific you get with your goals and really put it down on paper, the more likely you'll be to achieve them. So really get into it. Then next up, we've got measurable. And this ties right into the first goal of being specific. We can again look at the weight loss scenario. So I personally like to use an app called Lose It. It's pretty cool. It lets you count your calories. It lets you put in how many calories you're burning when you do certain exercises at the gym. It's pretty sweet. And I know that if I follow the plan that I put in the application consistently, that I can lose up to 2 pounds every single week as long as I stay on top of it. Tie that into burning calories with the exercises I'm doing at the gym, and I'll basically be guaranteed to see results based off of the trackable data as long as I follow through and stick with it. And then we have achievable, and this really lets you know how likely you are to hit your goal. For instance, I knew that I wanted to change careers, but I also knew just up and quitting my job without a plan was a terrible idea. So I wrote it all out, I put it on paper, and I planned for it. In order to really achieve this goal, I knew I needed a job where I had more time to myself and I could focus on learning some more skills that would be relevant to the field I wanted to work in. I also knew I needed to either maintain or increase my salary to sustain my lifestyle. So I decided to get on the job hunt. I found a decent retail job that had okay hours. I think it was something like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and they were closed on Sundays. So that gave me back more time to focus on learning a new career. Because at my previous job, sometimes we work at 3:45 a.m., we close at 11 p.m., we were open every weekend. It was very sporadic the way the hours worked, whereas with this place, at least it was more of a set schedule. So I knew that I could have my study time and really stay consistent and keep on top of it. So I secured a new job and I decided to give them at least 1 year of service. I know people job hop a lot. I always personally feel like you should give at least 6 months to 1 year of full service because they spend a tremendous amount of time training you for that spot. And so during that time, I decided how I wanted to further my education. And, I found out about CourseCareers. I looked at a couple of other boot camps, but I saw all the success stories and I decided ultimately CourseCareers was the way to go. It was very affordable. You could work at your own pace. And so I did a ton of networking on LinkedIn. I made sure I had at least 6 months of savings. And then I was like, all right, I'm ready to walk. I can do this. So once I completed CourseCareers, I gave my 2 weeks notice and I was off to the races. And I started to really pursue the dream actively because I was like, okay, got my first offer already. I'm in this. And the next one up is going to be relevant. And this is important to consider in life or in business in general. So part of my career journey was looking at how relevant the skills that I gained in retail were to what I wanted to do in tech. For the most part, my tech skills have been technical. Diving into software, developing websites, doing graphic design, taking apart computers, completely different than what I actually do now. But there's the fact that I've had this long career in retail, half of which I've spent managing big teams. And unless I really wanted to start completely from scratch, I had to figure out exactly just how well it related to what I could do in the tech industry, which is where tech sales came in. Because when you're in upper management, at least 3 to 4 times a year, you get the big bosses coming in, the directors, the vice presidents, and so forth, and you have to present your business and your store to them. And that's exactly what I do every single day. I'm working in tech sales. In tech, we call this transferable skills. So you take all those skills we just talked about, and then you put it all together, and you come down to the last part, which is timing. Giving yourself timelines to complete goals and accomplish tasks keeps you on track. Just like the weight loss scenario, putting a time frame of 3 months on it rather than just saying I want to lose 20 pounds in a year really helps you stay focused. It really gives you a reason to stay on track and constantly measure your progress. And the same thing goes for switching careers. If you really want to get out of what you're doing, give yourself a deadline to learn a new skill and then carefully plan it out so that you're focused on getting there. I always think it's important to set realistic time frames. And one of the ways you can do this is by setting micro goals as well. I remember when I wanted to become a store manager, I saw my leadership doing the job and I was like, in my head, I can do this. I really feel like I can do this. So I would set little micro goals for me every single week on how I could get to the next position and, really highlight myself during the visits when we would have our district managers come in or our directors, made sure I would speak up, try to be helpful, offer a little bit of management tidbits here and there so they would see that I was paying attention to the entire store and not just the security aspect of it. And then sure enough, when the time came and I mapped for store manager, I eventually got the position. And the same can be said for other things. If your goal is to join a band and learn a new instrument, plan it out. Give yourself time to learn guitar. Constantly practice. Look at some of your favorite musicians, see what type of practice and time they put into their goal every single day, and then copy it. If you look at Kobe Bryant, in my opinion, the second greatest basketball player to ever play, what he did was he studied game tape after game tape after game tape of Michael Jordan because he knew Mike was the best, and he wanted to be right there with him. So build yourself a solid time frame, measure it, and see how long it should take you to hit the success that you're looking for. And that's really my advice for using SMART goals. I personally still use them all the time. SMART goals are a little bit different when you work in a sales environment because when you work in service, you have a task, you have a time frame to complete it, and then you deliver it to the customer. Whereas with sales, you do a presentation and then you kind of have to wait for the customer or the client to be like, you know what? I do see the value of this solution. I am going to choose this company and sign up. And so in that regard, I feel like you should really control the controllable, fall in love with the process, but detach from the results. I'm an optimist, so I always think everyone's going to sign up anyway. That's my mindset going into it. And even if they don't at the end of the call, well, I'm going to get the next one. So again, if you're looking for a change and maybe it's, to get out of what you're doing and have maybe a remote job so you can spend more time at home with your family, check out this one. I go into the pros and cons of getting a remote job and what's great about it and what's not so great about it. And if you found value in today's video, like and subscribe like all your friends are doing. I'll see you on the next one.